She says it's not that small.
It's the annual Olympiacos podcast. Welcome to the Gooners podcast, episode 5.53, called, well, we're through. It's another semi-victorious podcast. It's a little weird when you win, but you don't win. My wife called me last night. She's like, Arsenal won, right? And I'm like, do I want to explain the whole thing or mansplain the whole thing or not? But in any case, we're through. We've got some great guests joining us. And then, of course, Ian's back as well. Thank you, Ian Owen.
Fuck that.
Tanner, we've been super into each other lately, mate.
I've been super into you. There's nobody that's super into me. It doesn't work. I'm only super into other people.
I not only accept every invitation to come on your podcast that you've been giving lately, I also invite myself on your podcast, and it always goes swimmingly. So
it sure does. I'm going to start taking a page out of your book and I'm just going to whore myself out now. So
that and just eat.
Yeah.
But you like I'm wearing next year's kit. Apparently, this is a shirt that my family got for me from some. I don't even know where they found this because this doesn't exist anywhere other than on my body right now. But it kind of it's kind of shaded like the new one. But anyway, Tanner from the Bearded Gooner channel, from Same Old Arsenal AFC, from BG Media, from his house. These are all the things you represent, and it's great to have you on, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
And if there's ever a time to have Jason Davies on the podcast, it is when things are going well, when we progress through tournaments, but there's still stuff to bitch about. So the Eternal Cynic is joining us for what will be a fun hour. Jason Davies, welcome back to the podcast. Good to see you.
Hola, boyo.
Boyo. I'd have him on every podcast just to have him call me Boyo.
Just for that.
No one calls me Boyo except for him and my son.
Honestly, hey, don't bother. I bore myself. Stick to the sound of my own voice.
Well, we're not. So I'm glad to give you an outlet. So before I pour my first shot of Ouzo to celebrate the victory, I'm nothing if not authentic. I got to figure out what is it some sort of I'll have a Czech beer or something like that, or some sort of shot for the next round. But we don't really need to pick this game apart. I don't think it was perhaps the worst, most boringest, most underwhelming game in recent Arsenal history.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah. What do we have going on here? Okay, I'm just going to carry on. Did we rotate too much? Oh, some questions. First of all, did we rotate too much or not enough, Jace, in your mind? So different starting 11, that's for sure.
We rotated 3 players. There's nobody in that Olympiacos side who would get into the Arsenal side, okay? It's just gutless again from us, a lack of ambition, and again, something we see on a regular basis from the Arsenal this season. Okay, Ray Anderson's in the box. He's magnificent. Matthew Hudson's there. Stan the man. Oh, God. It's like the old days. The band's back together. We put it a strong enough team, okay? Why does Martinelli only get 10 minutes? Maybe he's managing him. I don't know. But you're playing Ceballos at number 10. He's purely a ball recycler. He's not creative. We're just shit, Yeah,
I mean, in so many words, it was not a great performance yesterday. And the Martinelli thing we'll get to because it is a head scratcher after the comments. I mean, if there was ever a game to give him 70 minutes instead of 10, that was it. My point. But Tanner, as far as overall rotation, anyone else that you think played that shouldn't have, or other than Martinelli didn't play that should have?
Hector Bellerin. Give me Callum Chambers on the right and throw Cedric in on the left, or flip him. We were talking after the game. I think Callum Chambers has played on the left before. Not sure. But Yeah, it's a fine line, right? With over rotation versus under rotation. I thankfully we got through it. Knock on wood, we got through it unscathed, injury wise, but just lackluster. I said it yesterday. It's an opportunity missed, in my opinion, to continue building confidence and momentum and developing consistency within the team, and that's what I was looking for yesterday. Was how do we perform in a game that we should that should send us through to the next round, but we still need to put a performance in. And I did more work in my sleep last night than they did yesterday. So
yeah. Oh, and you even though you're here, I'm hosting. Let's just point that out. We've neutered you of all your responsibilities, but
to be honest with you, at least you're doing me a favor. I did you a favor. I went and purposely got myself some beers so you weren't drinking alone.
I'm never drinking alone. I got the whole Gooner family with me, but no, the question I was going to ask you is has just flown directly out of my head. But no, as far as building confidence is concerned, I went into the game basically saying, it'll be boring. It'll be drab, but a 0-0, 1-0 at best win is enough to get us through. And I don't want us having to waste any unnecessary paces, any risk of injury. I just want to be smart and get through instead of the thing that we always see with the with the second leg, one way or the other, where it ends up getting interesting in the last 10 minutes. Just a professional job to get through, and a 0-0 would have been that for me. Strangely, though, and I would have said that would have kept the confidence going to the weekend. We did what we came in to do. It wasn't flashy, but we're not looking for flash. We're looking for progression and and protection of our team. That said, that's not what we saw yesterday at all. Did we get through? Sure, but it wasn't as comfortable, and we didn't have as much control over it as we should have. So, from a confidence standpoint, your thoughts on yesterday and whether we, whether Arteta got it right or wrong with regards to his rotation.
To be honest with you, when I seen the team sheet released, I actually thought that he under-rotated, in my opinion. But with hindsight now, it's lucky that he didn't sort of put out a more weakened team than he did. In terms of what Tannor was saying there about breeding consistency, I was actually thinking about this earlier. And if you look at yesterday's performance, it was poor overall from front to back. I think apart from maybe Leno with that brilliant save, but the players that actually let us down the most were the people who are supposed to be carrying the youngsters through those types of situations, through those difficult games. You look at, I think David Luiz had an absolute nightmare. I think Granit Xhaka wasn't very good. Hector Bellerin was absolutely diabolical, and Aubameyang, that was the worst performance I've seen from Aubameyang in his entire career.
Really?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I do. I think, and not even if you take out the chances he missed, he was still absolutely dreadful. I think that his application, he lacked passion, he lacked application, he lacked leadership. He lacked willingness to move off the ball. He was being shouted at by his more junior players to make runs off the ball, and then he had an attitude when he was being questioned. I don't think he was very good, but I'm sure we'll cover him in more detail later. But what I was going to say about the consistency thing is that for me, yes, it's very important to breed consistency, but I asked myself the question, does this group of players have what it takes to go on a consistent run? I don't know if they do. I think that they have that one stinker every few games. And in a way, I was thinking to myself, are we lucky that this stinker come out now when we had that safety net of those away goals rather than it coming out against the West Ham? And to be honest with you, after that performance, my opinion, I think, has been reinforced that we need to be focusing more on the Europa League, especially with the draw. I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but with the draw that we've been dealt, the Europa League, in terms of a way back into not only Champions League but European places at all, I think it's a much easier route to commit to than that of the Premier League.
Well, I mean, there's only one outcome. It's Champions League. So, we're not going to win the Europa League to get into Europe other than through the Champions League.
But through the league, I'm saying even going for Europa League.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we will get into the draw, but, if others are like me, I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about our chances to win the Europa League now than I was, 2 weeks ago, for sure. So, I kind of differ with you. Let's talk about Aubameyang now. I mean, second half, granted, I think he got more and more frustrated and isolated and a little reticent to do the hard work in the second half. But I thought, and maybe it's just he was trying to make a point in the show. But I mean, if it works, it works. I thought he kind of came out pretty strong in the first half yesterday. Now his finishing, like you said, it was pants. But I didn't think that he was walking out, going around out there pulling, having a strop and moping around. I mean, he was putting himself in a position. He was pressing and pressuring the back line and the goalkeeper a lot in the first few minutes. And he put himself in positions where he could have and should have scored. He just didn't. His finishing let him down. Jason, Aubameyang, I mean, after the controversy from earlier in the week, which feel free to comment on if you'd like, but we've kind of been there already. What did you think of his kind of return to the pitch, return to captaincy? What did you make of his game yesterday, other than it being shite?
I think it's typical Aubameyang. He's not really a leader. He's popular amongst the players. He was popular at Dortmund. This is the thing. They were sad to see him go at Dortmund. Okay, there are a few negative reports, but most of the reports for him were positive at Dortmund. That's the funny thing when he left there. Okay, he didn't force his way out in the same way Dembele did. He's popular amongst the players. He's a bit of a character, but he's not a leader, is he? He's not somebody who's going to put his body on the line to game in, game out. A lot of the time, he's hiding in plain sight. The run isn't really, he's not busting a gut. He's kind of showing, but there's a player there, so he's kind of out to the, he's not really, the pass isn't on to him a lot of the time. I don't know.
We'll find out whether this is a serious comment or banter, I guess, in a few minutes. But sorry, Jason.
Yeah, whatever. It's one of those, isn't it? It's I don't know. I'm just. You can't argue with Aubameyang's scoring record since he's been with us. He's done some great things. When he first came, Lacazette was on a tough time, gives him the penalty. He's shown character at certain times, but this season, even though he's been great recently, and the goal against Burnley was magic, bang, bang, in, and he smashes it. But I don't know,
Is it possible that a player can have an off year?
No,
which is still better than many, but not be done, not be finished, not be awful, not be ready.
Can I add something to that before Jason answers as well? Because I did try to jump in, sorry, but I had myself on mute like the professional I am. There's one player I'll throw out, and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying Aubameyang. I think that he's completely done or anything. But when people say that what he's done in the past buys him these types of performances now, I don't agree with, because I'll throw one name to you just before you follow on. Fernando Torres, one of the world's best strikers, and within a season, bang, he was off a cliff and he was done.
I totally agree. And this is the thing where at the moment I look at us and we're at halfway house with everything. It's like with Arteta, you can see the way he's building the game, okay, but he doesn't commit. He doesn't show total ambition. We don't flood the box often enough. You know what I mean? You look at the Olympiacos game. We're talking about going into this game, with 3 away goals. They were all worldies. There was none of the bread and butter goals put away, okay? And just before Gabriel scored to go 2-1 up, he was going to put El Nene on to shore up and walk away with a draw. That's what he was going to do. No bones about it, okay? We all too often flatter to deceive. We don't go for the fucking jugular. You've got to have a crack. You're not going to get top 4 without being ambitious in this league. You're not, okay? And I think this team mirrors Mikel Arteta, and I think Aubameyang mirrors Mikel Arteta as well. It's a lot of show. We'll talk about non-negotiables, but I tell you what, I'm going to keep on playing Willian, who's absolutely fucking dog shit, okay, until he falls over some assists because that cunt can't even break out of a jog. Okay, it's a fucking disgrace, to be honest with you boys. And all this shit of trust the process, shove the process up your fucking ass, okay? Because unless you fully commit to it and play with some fucking ambition, you're not going to get anywhere. 11 league losses. 11 fucking league losses. And we're losing to the fucking pony that is Olympiacos last night. They're a bag of fucking wank. They're a bag of fucking wank.
I got to be honest with you. I was not expecting this version of Jason Davies tonight. I'm not complaining, but yeah, if we had won last night,
I'm going to ask you a question. Sorry, I'm going to ask you a question, Buzz. What have you seen over the last 3 months which makes us fucking title contenders or tells you we're on the verge of doing something special?
Wow, we're doing this. Okay. I haven't seen anything in the last 3 months that makes us title contenders, but I've seen in the last 3 months, relative to the 3 months prior to that there are players who are playing their positions better. The individual mistakes are still there. The mental weakness is still there, but I see a team that's playing for a common purpose, that's showing up when the most important needs are to show up, and tends to not take seriously yet the moments that are not perceived as being as important, which is why our record against teams,
what you're saying is they flattered to deceive, then fold like a fucking deck chair.
Did they flatter to deceive against Spurs?
They played really well against Spurs.
Did they flatter to deceive the first half against Wolves until they folded like a deck chair? I mean, It's still moments. It's still, it's an unfinished product for sure, and we are in 10th. That's true.
I'm going to shut up after this last comment. Again, I'm going to shut my gob because you've got other guys who need to talk on this. Okay, but my point is, if they were actually playing with a bit of ambition, if they were actually moving forward and actually developing their game, against Burnley we'd be 4 up. Against Spurs we'd be 3 up at half time. Okay, against Wolves, you'd be 4 up at halftime. Oh, we were unlucky. We're always fucking unlucky. It's not really good enough, is it? Sorry, I'm going to shut up now.
No. Look, every viewpoint is welcome here. We don't want this to be an echo chamber. I feel like this is a pod from late November, early December with some of the stuff I'm hearing. But Owen just sent me something to put up on the screen here.
I was actually relatively aligned with Jace until maybe this last week or so, and then I've seen this today, and it's just in terms of numerically, it actually gives you a visual on the improvements that we have made now. As you says, that's in comparison to those dire 3 or 4 months before the Christmas break. So maybe it's just reinforcing how terrible that was, and less so how good we are now. But Mike, if you can rattle through that, because to me that does show that we're on the right path to progression.
I mean, again, no one's going to put this in more importance than the eye test. To me, the eye test is strongly in favor of a club that is headed in the right direction rather than the wrong direction. I think what you could say, we're not headed in the right direction fast enough. That's fair, but to say we're not headed in the right direction, I'm not putting those words into your mouth, Chase, but I mean, like if a person thinks that we are either standing still or regressing.
I'll say we're headed in the right direction, but the big thing that really hits me there, okay, of all those figures, okay, points great. It couldn't get any worse than it was. We were heading in a relegation battle up until the end of December, okay? So when you're comparing those two sets of figures, look at the last one. Touches in the opponent's box. 24, we've improved to 26. It's not really good enough, is it? You need to be. The game's all about scoring goals. And
is that possibly?
We're banging them in from 40 yards down.
No, but is it possible that that's more so to say that we're more measured in our build-up and then more clinical in front of goal? rather than creating the volume.
I wouldn't look at that. I mean, XG, which as much as I hate XG, and Tanner, we're going to bring you in now. As much as I hate the entire concept of XG and all the nonsense that love to talk about it, and I'm not talking about anyone that's in the chat, and just in case you're here, that is a significant improvement. And what I believe that means, Owen, correct me if I'm right, because you're kind of a nerd, and Tanner, if you know about XG, I believe that means that we are creating plenty more chances. If we've increased that by 60% and our touches in the opponent box have only increased by 8%, I'm a little more excited about the 60% improvement in expected goals than I am about the touches in the opponent's box, personally. Is that, Tanner, is that a fair reading of that, you think?
I mean, I got to be honest with you. These newfangled fancy stats that everybody, likes to bring out here. And it's like, well, my mother's dog said this, and that leads into this, which leads into expected goals. And it's like, you know what? Look, it's like Jay said, it's just,
But Jace, our pre-assists are up, mate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the pre-assist, the assister.
Pre-assists are up so much since Mezzanoso left. No, I hear what you're saying, and I'd never like to use stats either. But to me, the eye test
there's the XG master putting in the description.
I knew that was coming.
I mean, I honest to God, I'm an eye test guy, and I've always been an eye test guy. As most everybody knows, being American, I follow a lot of American sports, and especially baseball, and these new stats, all this fancy stuff, what they're called in baseball, sabermetrics. Like that's great. It's just like launch velocity. Like, who gives a shit how fast the ball left the ballpark? I don't give a shit about that. It's like, I mean, seriously, we're going to get to a point with these fancy stats in football now. We're going to start talking about the angle at which the ball came off the player's foot and the velocity at which it hit the back of the net. It's like, did it go in the net? Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think we almost got there with Lamella's Rabona. I think as far as handling.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I see Drew in the chat, and I know, Drew, I know you're up on this stuff. One of these days, you and I gotta have a chat about this.
Drew's just here for Jace. We know that.
Yeah.
Drew's had plenty of opportunities to come into the chat, and Jace shows up once, and he's here. So,
love the Drew.
But look, it is what it is. But yeah, no, the bigger argument of are we headed in the right direction? I absolutely feel that we are now, and believe me, I got the shirt sitting right here on the floor, the everyone out shirt that I made, and that's how I felt. Jace, did you see that shirt? It's a brilliant. I'm going to sell them, but
I have seen it. I was
at that point. Well, I was at the point where I was like, I don't even want to point fingers to one person. Just fucking blow the entire thing up over again.
Fold the club.
But I'm not feeling that way. I mean, I almost put all of my effort behind the table-topping promotion heading Sutton United.
Follow Wrexham. Ryan Reynolds is
now F Wrexham. Sorry, nothing against Wales, and we don't even have to go to the Wales bashing because Andy's not on the pod. But now it's Sutton for me. But I think we're headed towards. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen next season. And frankly, I don't think that there's nothing still to look at for the rest of this season. But I get where you're coming from. It's maddening to not have that run put together.
Yeah. No, look, I'm going to make one point, okay? I believe in Arteta. My pinned tweet is still, we'll get top 4 and we'll win the Europa League. Okay, it's still there. I just want him to be a bit more ambitious in the way we play. I don't understand, okay, why you're not giving Nelson a chance. Guy's got pace, okay? I don't understand why you're not giving Martinelli more minutes. You may be managing him, but 10 minutes at the end of that, I don't get it. I don't get the point in playing Dani Ceballos at 10. He's never been a good 10, okay? He's a ball recycler. If you're going to play the likes, we made Socrates look good. The only other guy who makes Socrates look good is fucking Harry Kane. Okay? To be fair, Socrates still got in his back pocket. But, that's an aging, horrible side of Olympiacos. And quite frankly, we made them look decent. And it's embarrassing. And you can talk about the progress we've made, fantastic. But progress needs to be shown on the park in terms of goals and wins.
Yeah.
The game against Spurs is magic.
We look like a team. We look like a team who knew they had breathing room and didn't go in for the kill. And that's, there's a reason that when Bayern win a first leg 4-1, they go and win the second one 3-1 or 4-1, and other teams go up 3 or 4-0 in a first leg, and then look at what happened in Prague yesterday. It all comes crashing down. So, and we will get to that.
It's a championship mentality.
Yeah.
And to everything that Jace just said, I hate to keep beating this drum. I'm going to put a hole in it with as much as I keep beating this thing, but it's consistency. It's down. Said. Yeah. It's down to consistency.
Yes.
And it just, that's the maddening thing about yesterday's game, is that not only did Aubameyang not finish chances, and that's ruthlessness in the box. It's be clinical, but
he had too much. He had way too much Ruth yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. But it's maddening. Like Jay said, there's the stinker every 2-3. Yeah, I think it was Jason said that it's 2 or 3 games, and it just that until you get past that, you string 5 or 6 of these together, and then you have a half that's a stinker instead of a full 90 minutes. That's a championship mentality, and we just don't have it right now.
No,
is that the case? Is that the case of it being just so limited? Like, for example, Arteta can only do what he can with the tools he has at his disposal at the minute. And I think something that was completely evident yesterday was that the gulf in class and quality on the ball when Thomas Partey and Martin Odegaard were both introduced was just so plain to see. So for me, it's just a case of Arteta always has that excuse, if you want to call it that, in his back pocket, that with the pandemic and with the limited resources in his transfer windows up until now, there is only so much that he can do realistically. That's not to say he hasn't made some questionable decisions. I, in particular, have issues with his substitutions at times, even though I think he got his spot on, absolutely spot on yesterday. But for me, it's really, let's sit back, wait and see. For me, a couple of weeks ago, I says the rest of the season was a complete write-off. So for me, really, I said before, next Christmas is when I'll start to judge him, when he can buy his more players in the summer, get rid of the ones he doesn't want, and then bed them in. And that's it, when I think we're going to really start to see the sort of true colours of Arteta's philosophy coming through.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of that, what Arteta needs to decide for himself is what kind of a coach is he going to be? Is he going to be a coach that's hell-bent on, this is my system, this is what I'm playing, so we're going to bring in players that A, buy into the system, but B, also fit the system, stylistically speaking? Or am I going to be a coach that, am I just going to be a cook? Somebody else is going to provide me the ingredients. I'm going to look at what I have in front of me, and I'm going to try to make the best meal that I possibly can out of what's in front of me. He's right now seems to be more of the sooner rather than the latter. This is my system. This is what I want to play. And he just doesn't have all of the players to fit the system, and not everybody's buying in. Which
is what I'm going with in my patience. That's the concept. I've seen some of the things change that can change about the same players, and then I've seen the limitations in those players to the things that can't change. And I think he's changing the thing. What is that saying? Grant me the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yep. Like I think he's actually changing the things that he can, but there's a limit to how much he can do that. And Jace, I see you've taken yourself off mute, so that must mean that it's your turn.
So for argument's sake, now, okay, and you guys can give opinion on this. If you want to play, Arsenal fans' sake was been there. Arteta was a possession-based team, and I agree it's not complete. Fine, okay. I get there's a lot of there's a lot of different opinions on how Arteta wants to complete this team and what have you. But if you're looking at last night and you want to play a possession-based game against Olympiacos, why aren't you putting Ceballos deep, move ESR into number 10, a position he's more accustomed to, okay, and he's more effective at? You can bring Nelson on to the left. You can play whoever on the right. You know, you can give Martinelli minutes up front. You can do all sorts of things. He's not using all of his ingredients, and if you're just gonna constantly play Saka, okay, and you're gonna play him into the ground because
we call it football here, Jason.
Wow,
man. Please don't insult the intelligence of our audience by calling it that.
For fuck's sake.
Oh, Christ almighty, why do I bother? You'll be talking about pigeons next. But you know, when you're looking at all this, okay, he's not using all the ingredients available to him. And if you know, I worry about Saka.
Really sorry.
If you do that, Jesus Christ. You know, I mean, the guy's needed a rest over the past few weeks. He's needed a rest. He's been kicked off the park. You know, these are still young guys. You've got to manage them properly. So nobody wants Mikel Arteta to succeed more than I do. Okay, I don't want to be going through managers. I want to see us winning. Sick and tired of moaning, to be honest with you. I'm sick of myself.
Comes across that way, man.
It's so fucking disappointing to watch that last night. You know, when you see the Tottenham game, when you see the Burnley game, and you see really good 45 minutes, and then we don't back it up when it matters. You know the opposition are going to have their time in the game. You know that, but you expect to see a bit more backbone and a bit more organisation, and us to stand up to it, not fold the way we do. But you know, it's just frustrating at the moment, and hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, I hope so. And just kind of putting a bow on the Olympiacos game. We talked about substitutions. And I talked to Tannor about this yesterday on his post-game show. The thing that was weird for me is Ceballos in the 10 when you're forcing ESR into the lineup. I wouldn't have played ESR yesterday because of his kind of need for rest and being semi-injured recently. But if you play him and you play him on the left, that's got to be because Odegaard's playing in the 10. But then Ceballos is there. Why not? If you're going to give ESR minutes, give ESR minutes in the 10 and put goddamn Martinelli out there on the left side. I mean, how good? So what's your feeling on that, Owen? And how good was Martinelli in those 10 minutes? What did he show you in those 10 minutes about what we're missing?
With the Ceballos and the 10, the ESR on the left, see, prior to coming in on his first loan spell, Ceballos actually was considered a creative midfielder, or he could play on either wing as well, which I don't know how the fuck he ever done that, because he's got as much fucking pace as my nan. And she did. But what was I going to say?
Why are you making us laugh at your dead grandmother?
I don't know. Everybody did. She was an awful woman. But I think unless Arteta was trying to have one last crack of the whip of trying to get him to work in that position, because for me, he doesn't control the play enough in a deeper position, and he's not defensively solid enough in a deeper position. And another reason for it as well is I think he might just be trying to bed ESR into that left wing position, because I think if the sort of prospects of Martin Odegaard extend and stay here is maybe as possible as they're making out to be, then maybe that could be ESR's long-term position. He actually played on the wing a lot during his youth career and stuff, and he's been massively effective, and I think them two work brilliant. So,
and that's fine, but bet him in with the person that he's going to be collaborating with, not with somebody who's being stuck in there as an experiment.
But it's just positional awareness. It takes time to build sort of the natural instincts in each position. I know from playing centre back for so long, you can see a difference when you put a natural centre back who knows his position in there rather than somebody who's filling in temporarily. You know, there's an aura about that person, and it's the same with any position on the field. And I think maybe he's just trying to sort of bed him into that position and get him more down to it. But before I move on to Martinelli, there's two wee comments in the chat I wanted to address here, and it was regarding Thomas Partey. And I agree with Stan that he hasn't really been at his best since he's away.
How can he, Stan? He doesn't know who you are, so how's he supposed to do shit for you? I mean, like I'm pretty sure he doesn't know who you are.
But For me, with Thomas Partey, I think what we're getting is a Kieran Tierney syndrome. If you remember when Kieran Tierney first came to the club, he was injured and he came back and he was still quite fragile and he didn't really fully settle. And it's only really now that we're starting to see Kieran Tierney in full flight. So for me, and another thing as well, when you look at the likes of Mohamed El Neni in the game yesterday, or any game for that, Thomas Partey at 25% is better than Mohamed El Neni or Dani Ceballos at 100%, because even though his touch mightn't be perfect, his dribbling mightn't be perfect, his passing mightn't be perfect, what he can control is his positioning, and the spaces that he fills to help break down attacks is just miles above anybody else in our team. So for me, he's fundamental. And Ryan put in one there regarding Partey, saying Partey has the shooting ability of Fred, or maybe worse. Don't need him to shoot, need him to stop goals being conceded, to get the ball and transition it, be a release valve in the middle of the park. Don't need him to shoot. But in terms of Gabriel Martinelli, I was thinking about this earlier. For me, Mikel Arteta is somebody who likes attention to detail, and he likes his players to be sort of finely tuned tactically. And Gabriel Martinelli is like a stick of dynamite to Mikel Arteta. It's very good, it's very useful to have, but he doesn't know what to fucking do with it. Do you know what I mean? Cheers, mate. With Gabriel Martinelli, I mentioned on a podcast a few weeks ago, I think the part of the problem is that he hasn't grown up with the pedigree of the likes of Bukayo Saka, the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, even the likes of Reece Nelson, Joe Willock. He hasn't had that tactical coaching from a real young age. You know, he came from Brazil's third division or something like that there. And I think what they're doing now is they're just, I think they've wiped the slate clean and they're just retraining him. And I think next season is when you'll get it. The thing I don't understand is why don't they just give him minutes in the under 23s if he's not going to feature? I think that's
are they Saliba-ing Martinelli, but just within the confines of the first team? I mean, is that what we're seeing here? Is it a similar kind of thing where they're like, you know what, you're a man child, you're extremely talented for your age, but we're going to teach you the Premier League way and then let you loose on everybody, rather than, you know, come through like Saka did, where he's been with this team and this program and ESR for years and years and years. I mean, is it just the fact that they're not Hale End boys that are causing those two to have this kind of stop-start type of career? You think? I mean, anyone that wants to jump into that one.
I think it's down to who Arteta trusts. And Eoin said it right. He wants you to pay attention to detail. And right now, Gabriel Martinelli is a beagle puppy who's going to be trained to hunt. But right now, he's going to become the hunter that and I say beagle because I have beagles. But he's going to be that sweet little cuddly dog that I love. No, he'll be the hunter, but right now he's just, oh my God, what's over here? Oh my God, what's over here? Oh my God, squirrel. That's Gabriel Martinelli right now. You know, so Saliba, there's something there. I don't think Arteta rates. It
just occurred to me that like there's a similarity, as much as they're different. There's a similarity to kind of
between Beagles and Gabriel Martinelli, sure,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that 100%.
I actually think that what's happened is I think Mikel Arteta has probably taken Martinelli aside and he's probably saying, look, I see your future at centre forward. At the minute, we have Aubameyang, we have Lacazette.
There's a lot of that going around.
One of the two are probably going to be moved on. Eddie Nketiah might be moved on. Balogun looks to be set to leave. There's a pathway there for you, and rather than throwing you out on your favorite left wing position, we're going to take the time to work with you and mold you. He's been taking individual training sessions. We're going to mold you into a centre forward, and next season is when you're going to be pushed to the forefront of the team.
That's something I said a few weeks ago, and I hope that that's the case. I hope that he's been told, you know, privately, you are a part of this team. You are a major part of its future. We want you to just not even have a question of re-injuring yourself. We want you to have a summer preseason maybe where you know, we get to try out new things and we get to see who that's ahead of you in the pecking order right now won't be here anymore. And I'm only hoping that's the case. Last word on Partey from me, and then we're going to move forward. I also think Partey's a guy where you can almost look at this season as a wash or as a sunk cost for him. The stop-start nature of his injuries, it's the adaptation for someone in his position. You'd like to have seen him come in and just be gangbusters right away, but it just hasn't worked out that way. He'll rest. He'll have a good. I don't think Ghana's in the World Cup. He'll have maybe I'm wrong about that, but he'll have a restful summer, a full season, a full preseason, and I just think he's going to dominate the center of the park next season. So again, I'm being optimistic, but
can I make one comment on Martinelli real quick? Number one, don't discount the injuries that he's had. Yeah. So that's also part of why he's not getting the
start part of it. Yeah.
Well, and this is Gabriel Martinelli, but also
Martinelli. Oh yeah.
Somebody had asked the question, why isn't he getting more time in the U23s if he's fit and he's able to play? I'll play devil's advocate here. If he is as big a part of the future of this club starting next season as what we're being led to believe, then I actually think what Arteta is doing by saying, look, you're traveling with us, you're getting a shirt, you're going to be on the bench. You need to be around these guys because you're going to slot in there next year. If he's in the U23s, which he's clearly surpassed that level already, what's he really learning? He's not really learning anything. And right now, it's not just about on the pitch. It's also be around guys like Kieran Tierney, Thomas Partey. It's going to be a massively unpopular opinion among some, but be around Granit Xhaka. Be around the guys that David Luiz, Gabriel. Be around those guys and just immerse yourself in the first team culture, and you'll get your minutes. So, just another way of thinking about things.
Cool. Well, we're going to move on to the draw and to the next game. But before we do that, just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We've got Tony Turner in here, Bulgarian Gooner, Ryan Kost. Drew is or was in here. Ray Anderson, Stan the Man from Vancouver. Rich, I love Willian Wilcox. Even named part of his last name after him. Finally, the Willian jersey that he won arrived, and he wore it out in public last night. So, congratulations to him. Ray Anderson. Let's see who else is in here. Matthew Hudson.
Can I say hello to Stan the Man's wife, please?
Sorry?
Hello, Stan the Man's wife.
Oh, yes, of course. Mrs. the Man is her full name.
Yes.
Matthew Hudson, Charlie Harris, who called us four nonces and then went away. Ray from Arsenal Fan Circle Channel. David Ziegler, who's bordering on David today. I'll give him that. And everyone else who's in the chat and staying quiet. We appreciate you being in here. Don Giovanni. Divyan's in here, and now let's take a moment. Jared also in the pod. Let's take a moment to just laugh at Spurs. When you look at what we did, yes. Look, I'm not one of those people who say, why are we laughing at them? They're above us in the table. Fuck that. That's a narrative that makes you feel better about hating on other Arsenal supporters. We avoided that trap. And they fell into it. It's just that simple. And the Jose out stuff is this was so predictable, and it's happening. It's almost it's not there yet, but it's happening. I mean, they got a cup final coming up in a couple weeks, and if they lose that game, then I almost don't care what happened this season. Almost, not completely, but what a capitulation.
Can I shout out Stan real quick?
Yeah.
Breaking news. Tottenham players have been banned from owning dogs after the RSPCA raises concerns that none of them know how to hold on to a lead.
That's a joke. That's a joke that only British people and football fans in the U.S. would or elsewhere would understand. But yeah, I've been seeing that make the rounds on Twitter. Jace, any kind of softening of the blow of our capitulation yesterday, despite going through by what happened 2 hours later? Or do you not care?
I enjoyed Twitter so much last night. It made me forget about the game instantly.
Said nobody ever.
Honestly, okay, we were through. I just kept on retweeting stuff. You just think, let's have a quick search of Jose out. Bingo, bango, bongo. Just retweet, laugh. The one thing I would say, and saw something last night which absolutely fucking disgusted me.
Oh,
Was the Spurs girl who does the YouTube show, Mel.
yeah.
Obviously, we've had a certain scumbag say something on a certain podcast not so long ago. That geezer's a piece of shit. I couldn't give a shit. Fucking bang out of order. But the threats and stuff that was aimed at her last night were absolutely disgraceful. I'm all for laughing at Spurs. Look, I'm blocked by Graham Roberts, Mark Falcao, half of them, okay? They hate my guts. I'm happy with that. I'm working on Jermaine Jennings. I'm working on Harry Kane.
How about Harry Mabbott or whatever his name?
Gary
Gary
Mabbott.
Mabbott.
Yeah. He's done.
You know. Oh, we got to do another. You know what I hate? Game. We got to do that.
Oh my God, I fucking hate Gary Mabbott. I'm glad that rat chewed his butt. Okay.
Oh my God.
But what I saw that poor girl, the messages that poor girl had last night were absolutely foul. And I just, fuck me. What's wrong with people?
Jason, it's social media, man. It's social media. And it's
I would never defend anything like that, and I'm not. It is interesting though how some corners. I got to figure out how to say this. Some corners of social media and
Statty Mike
and amateur punditry look at that as being a marketing tool. Putting yourself out there and receiving abuse is never okay. You should be able to put yourself out there without receiving abuse. Unfortunately, some people take that abuse and they market it. And I just hope, because I don't know, I hope that that's not what has happened in this case here. It is not okay to text abuse to somebody, famous, non-famous, controversial, non-controversial, over anything, especially over who they support with football.
Before social media, none of us had a voice the way we have the voice now. And what happens is the shitbags that are out there, and clearly they are many, but the shitbags that are out there also see this as their way to become famous, and they'll say anything they can to make that light on them brighter. And this is going to be a bit of an unpopular opinion, and I don't want to bogart the show. We can talk about it some other time, but I actually want people to stop putting all of this out there, because that's what they want. They're bullies. They may not even mean what they say, but what they want is the recognition. And I mean, Jace, I saw everything that got said to her, and I'm with you 100%, man. But I think the idiots that say this stuff just want to see their name up in lights, and they get it, because it's a fine knife edge between, do we call them out and draw attention to them, or do we just keep our mouths shut and say, now, I don't care what you say, I'm not going to give you the spotlight no matter what. It's a very fine line.
And by the same token, that episode, Jason, that you mentioned, of her having a very prominent YouTube presence, say some completely out of line things to her, that ended up becoming an elevation where there was a discussion, and it turned into the beginning of an arc, of a story arc almost, and that bothers me a bit, because it took away from the actual thing and turned it into a mutual fame story arc that elevated everybody involved in it, in a situation where nobody should be elevated over stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. I think that we've all got different opinions on how you deal with these things. Okay, but sort of a bit of class about, let's take the piss out of them by all means. I want to take the mickey out of a, you lot think about Portsmouth, but I don't know. You know what I mean? We're thinking about Champions League. Fucking thinking about.
Just don't mess with Sutton United, dude. I mean, you start slagging off Sutton United, we're gonna have some beef.
But the problem is the problem is hiding behind pictures. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I
Is that
think
everybody
you should have to register for Twitter, just like
100%. Because I tell you, and look, you know me, Mike, I never get like this, but I read the messages word for word of everything that it was said, and if that was my daughter or that was my missus, and somebody said that about it, you better fucking hope that there was nothing linking your own personal identity, because you go and you fuck them up, and that's the problem now.
Crazy as it is, I didn't see any of that last night. I mean, I'm glad. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go back and look for it. No, what I did see,
horrible.
What I did see was what Ray just mentioned, and this, this is another thing about the whole, fan cams and media and stuff. Like, it is opposing fans basically bathing in your tears, because this was funny as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I don't want to give it publicity, but I mean, the guy, when the second goal goes in for Prague, he's like, "We're making it easy for them. We're making it easy for them." And he's just screaming into this. I mean, it's so stupid that it's funny, and it's not meant to be amusing. It's meant to be raw controversy, sells whatever, like, passionate rant, blah blah blah. But it was just so comical and pathetic. But anyway, I've given that more oxygen than I meant to do.
Luke on Twitter put that section of those lads commenting on the game to the music from who's the geezer? I can't remember the show. Tom Jones. No, the Kirby Enthusiasm music. He put that over.
Yeah. I've wanted to do that to somebody. Yeah, I use the Benny Hill music normally, but the Kirby Enthusiasm music is even funnier.
There's a really good one just before you go on as well. Anybody watching, go over and check it out. It's over at Republic of Arsenal. It's one of the Irish lads had a couple of Spurs fans on, and he made a compilation of over the last few weeks of the way he was talking, and like when we win the Europa League. It's fucking amazing stuff. Go over and check it out. His page
with Zach Galifianakis sitting at his office desk.
Hey guys, can we all take a moment to pray for poor Jermaine Genius?
No, it is Friday night, but I'm not praying for his ass.
I'm not wasting it. I'm not wasting
my Shabbos on that motherfucker. So Olympiacos is in the bag. Uzo's going in my face. If I end up throwing up, Owen, just take over. All right, so we're laughing at Spurs. They're out. West Ham was on Sunday. That game always makes me hungry. I can't figure out why.
I mean, you know what I want to say here.
Wait a second. Dude, that makes no sense, does it?
Why? I like the West Ham and cheese sandwiches. Never
mind.
It gets me. Anyway, so West Ham. Let me spit out a couple stats here. They're sitting pretty solidly in 5th place right now. 48 points in 28 games. Last 5 includes 3 wins and 2 losses. The losses were United and City. One of the wins was Spurs. So it isn't like they're on a tailspin or anything like that. Get this, though. Excluding the goalkeeper positions, they've got 3 players, Cresswell, Soucek, and Soucek, and Declan Rice, who have played every single minute of every single Premier League game. And those are their midfield pivot have played every single minute of every Premier League game. Imagine that. The preferred 2 being there every minute of every game. Another player's played in every game, but not 90 minutes. 4 more have appeared in 20 or more games. So they got 4 guys who have played in every single Premier League game, 4 more guys who have played in 20 or more out of the 28 games. Guess how many Arsenal players have played in every Premier League game?
1, 2,
3. None.
Jace? None.
None.
Not even Leno. Not even Leno.
Because he was suspended. Not Xhaka, no.
Yeah.
No. The most appearances is 24. Yeah, Xhaka can't be in every game if he's getting red cards every 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, and then I forgot he was at El Neni Partey against United, wasn't it?
Yeah, so most appearances is 24, and that's Xhaka Lakasaka. Those 3 are all on 24. West Ham have 6 players with more than 2,000 Premier League minutes this season. We have 1.
They don't have Europa League. They don't have European football today.
Well, that's true, but it's still the point, which is Arsenal have 1 player with 2,000 minutes, and it's Bukayo Saka with 2,001. They have had the combination that I keep speaking about for these teams that punch above their weight. Teams like Sheffield United last year, teams like Everton for a handful of years, teams like West Ham and Villa, this season. Wolves recently, Leicester, although they're becoming more legitimate in that position. But everything goes their way. Coach who is experienced, players who want to play above their station and are not, why am I at this stupid club? Why am I, I'm here to be fancy. I want to, they're players who are trying to prove themselves maybe for another move and, and motivated and solid together and healthy AF. Whereas with Arsenal, you got, Moyes has had that. He's had the benefit of all that this season, and they've put it together. Whereas Arteta, he's had players missing time, moles in the dressing room, players playing for themselves and not the badge at times, especially early in the season. So, and yet we beat them on Sunday and we're within 4 points of their ass and within 2 points of Carlo Ancelotti's world-class manager ass. So, I'm sick of hearing people talk about West Ham and Aston Villa like what we need to be and the coaches that we need to have. That said, Tanner, they have been impressive this season, but how are you feeling, given their run of form, given, what we've seen recently, which has been mostly positive until Thursday? Do we do well against West Ham? What do you think?
You would think we should, but again, this is Arsenal. We can't seem to string together, a month's worth of solid performances. So I was feeling pretty good after Sunday. I am less confident after last night, to be honest with you. But look, full credit to West Ham. Like Jay said, they don't have European football. They were knocked out of the FA Cup in the last round to United. They're out of the League Cup. So this is all they have to focus on now. They have nothing else. This is it. They've been blessed with health most of this season. So am I echoing?
No.
What do I hear?
I can hear echo.
Do I hear a T? I feel like I hear a TV if it's not me. Anyway, at any rate.
I just hear massively good points and takes coming out of your face. That's all I hear.
There we go. But you know what? No, full credit to them. They're not the best team in the world, but they're very well organized, very well drilled by David Moyes. They're going to put in a shift. You know that. And like Jay said, nothing else, no other competition to play for. So this is it. Focus on this. I'll say this. I've had a few West Ham fans here in America that I follow on Twitter say the last thing on earth we want is to qualify for European football. They don't want it. They don't want it because they don't think they have the ability to compete in the transfer market to build the squad
right.
the way you would need for that.
They won't look at Europe as a building block to be a top 6 team regularly.
They don't want it, and it's like I don't understand. I just can't wrap my brain around that because I want to win. I want to win championships, want to win trophies, but they don't. They're satisfied to come in 8th. If they finish 8th, they're like.
I have a mate whose son played football with my son for a while, and he's English, ex England cricketer, loves West Ham, just diehard West Ham, it's fascinating learning from him what it's like to be, to have that different set of expectations. I suppose he's loving life right now. He's not scared of finishing 4th. Or 5th or 6th. He'd love to, but he also is realistic about it. He's like, we don't need to. And it'd almost be like kind of a, great one year and then down the next year. Jace, as inconsistent as we are, I think you also have to say that applies towards not necessarily predicting losses and poor performances in the wake of a poor performance. We've gone through a couple of really good games and then shit the bed. We've gone through a period where we thought we were going to get murdered and come out and played the best game, to that point of the season. So can this team separate out a game where we already were winning by 2 goals halfway through the game? And it was, it's one of these weird things where you're just trying to protect a lead from the opening whistle. Can we look at that as a one-off and say that this team's going to have the right spirit? Because if this team has the right spirit on Sunday, we're going to win. It's all about the mentality of these players at this point. I think we have the squad to compete and beat any of the top 3 or 4 teams on our day if we play the way that we can. We've proven that against Tottenham. We've proven that against other teams, even when we didn't get a result. we can win if we play the game we want to play with the right mentality. But are we going to have that hangover from Thursday, or is it going to be a resolute team again?
Before I go to that, just a quick one. Si, thanks, mate. Good to see you. Divian, I think it was Wilshere screwed over West Ham, to be honest with you. I think he earned an absolute fortune from that. I think we can. If you look at the Tottenham game and you look at the first 75 minutes up until the red card, we played some lovely football, didn't we? We didn't finish our chances. You know, you needed to hit the bread and butter and really put away all the chances we created. But we were very, very effective. Olympiacos, we weren't. You know, it was a total, turnaround in form. I think we've really got to, we've got to go into this game with a lot of ambition. They're in fifth for a reason. They've earned the right to be there at the moment. Okay, they've earned the right. The league table never lies at the, you are where you are for a reason. If we're not going to use Thursday night as an absolute motivator to get us rocking and get us going and really, go to smash these guys into next week and set out a stall for the run-in, then I don't know what these guys and what Arteta needs as motivators. I think we've got all the motivation. We can make top four if we put a run together, because other teams are going to have tough run-ins as well.
This season, you still think top four could be on this season?
Absolutely. Look, there's 10 odd games to go. There's 10 odd games to go. I know it's not 97 anymore. Okay, I know it's not. But we hadn't played sparkling football up until March, and all of a sudden we put a run together where we're winning the title. I think it's February we started the run together. Things can turn. If we start putting away all our chances, you beat Wolverhampton Wanderers, you beat Burnley. We're 5 points better off. Do you know what I mean? Things change very quickly.
There's no doubt that our position in the table is misleading as far as I'm concerned, which completely contradicts.
We didn't finish the chances, though. It's not misleading because
it contradicts the table doesn't lie. But
but if you finish those chances, Mike, and you've got to go out there with a positive attitude, and you've got to go out there with ambition, you've got to flood the box, you've got to play with pace.
Isn't that the type of thing, the finishing of the chances that and maybe I'm just being too Pollyanna, but isn't that the type of thing that does eventually regress to the mean? If you're not good enough, then it won't regress to the mean. But if you're really getting unlucky with finishing chances, not getting into the right positions, but with finishing chances, like isolate Aubameyang, he could have scored 3 goals in that game, but there are other games where he barely had a sniff, but because of his brilliance, scores 3 goals or 2 goals.
You don't lose 11 league games, by being unlucky. You lose 11 league games by being poor.
No, but how many of those 11 were before Boxing Day?
Come on, the season doesn't start on Boxing Day or finish on Boxing Day. You know what I mean? The season's from August to May.
Can we ask them to do that?
Look, I've been trying that for years. Okay, I'll manipulate anything for a league title, but I think the problem we got, okay, if you put all your eggs, for argument's sake, Bulgarian Gunner says Europa or bust, lads. That's the reality. If you're going to put all your eggs in that basket, okay, then then you're in real trouble if you don't win it.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we're starting Justin, and Gavin Hoyt as our center backs against Liverpool on the 4th. I mean, putting your eggs in the Europa League basket with this squad. I mean, we used to have under Arsene Wenger. Remember, it was a first team and a second team. The second team was the one that we saw in the League Cup, and it was a bunch of young guys running around. The first team was the one that we saw on the pitch for Premier League and Europe games. Now it's a little more melded together. Instead of having 8s and 4s, we have a ton of 6s and 7s. That's kind of the problem. But by the same token, when you talk about prioritizing one competition over the other, it's a little cloudier because we could go for Europa balls to the wall. It doesn't automatically mean that we're going to put shit teams out that following Sunday.
from me, okay, I think we undervalue a lot of our players, okay? I think if you look at a lot of our players, we got some very, very fine players. We over-egg the opposition players and we undersell our own guys, okay? Xhaka was beloved by Arsene Wenger and he was beloved by a lot of managers, okay? No offense to us lot. You know what I mean? You know what I'm coming
Their
from.
opinion matters more than ours.
Yeah, obviously it does. They get paid to do what they do. But I think we all have our opinions. Me and William, I'm not a big fan. But he's on 220 grand a week, and I'm not. There's something. There's tail in the tape there. But
I'm so sorry. I am. I didn't. I thought all of us were.
Such a dick.
I thought all of us were on 220 grand a week.
Oh shit.
Yeah. In pennies.
Yeah,
it's not good. But you know what
I see some of these super chats and it's like 100 rupees. I'm like, holy shit, that guy just spent a lot of money on that. And it's like
meanwhile he spent a quarter.
It's like 89p. Sorry.
But you've got to be more in the sum of your parts, okay? And it's Arteta's job to do that. You're Arsenal Football Club. You've got to be fighting on all fronts. You never heard Alex Ferguson or anybody like that going half-heartedly. If you look at the team he last won the league with, that was dog shit. You know what I mean?
Well, before our next Europa League game, we have 2 games on either side of the international break. West Ham, Liverpool, both winnable, both losable, both drawable. If we don't get 4, maybe 6 out of those 6 points, then anything that is any top 4, top 6 discussion can pretty much end right there, because we're there's a chasm between us and 8th, and then 8th and 5th are all jumbled together. So like we have to jump over that chasm with basically 2 consecutive wins in our next 2 games, and then if we do that, it's all on, because all the game a bunch of our games after that, we either play teams ahead of us or teams way below us, and so but if not, if we end up getting 3 or less points out of the next 2 games, we win 1, lose 1, or we draw both, or we lose both, then it is literally Europa League and fuck all.
But you've got to play with ambition. You've got to play with ambition, Mike. And the thing is, Liverpool's form isn't great. It's not great,
but they'll get up for the game against us, and as we should as well. We should smell blood and go after them instead of treating them like the defending Premier League champions that they are, but haven't been acting like lately. So
we have 10 games left, 4 of which are against teams higher than us. West Ham, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea. Actually, in that order, now that I think about it. The remaining 6 are, I am fairly certain that we play the bottom 5 as they currently sit in the table: Fulham, Sheffield, West Brom, Newcastle, Brighton. The only team that's above them, and it's Crystal Palace, and I think they might be 12th.
Quite honestly, those are the games I worry more about. I mean, you could almost see a repeat of Emery's run-in right before the Europa League final, where we finished a point out of Champions League spots after dropping points to third division Belgian teams, basically. I mean, it was. Yeah. It was ridiculous. So
I just want to say I wholeheartedly agree with everything Jace just said about top 4. I absolutely think it's possible, but it's going to start Sunday. It actually started this past Sunday. It started there. It has to continue on Sunday at the London Stadium. It absolutely, if that's a draw, forget it. I legitimately believe if we draw or lose, God forbid, this game on Sunday, that pretty much squashes top 4. In my opinion.
What am I missing here? There's a tweet from Ryanair that's a response to a tweet that says, "What's the cheapest way to get to Istanbul?" And the response from Ryanair is, "Hi Sean, unfortunately we currently do not fly to Istanbul. Seeing as how you're a Liverpool fan, we doubt you'll be flying there anytime soon either." I mean, I know about Liverpool and Istanbul, but is that where the Champions League is?
Yeah, Champions League finals.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, you got to love when you see a big corporation taking the piss out of people. I mean, that's fantastic. So let's do a couple things. Let's see if anyone in the chat has any user questions. I mean, not like we are, the fountains of knowledge that are going to answer your questions, but if there's anything at all that you want to throw out there that we can get to before the end of the pod, let's do it. And we're going to do a new segment which could completely fall on my face. Now that gambling online is available in my state of Virginia in the U.S., which Arsenal related bet should I make for the weekend? They got all the normal things: first score, halftime, the game overall. I mean, anything that you looking at the wagers right now. I mean, West Ham is plus 180, Arsenal's plus 145, draw plus 240. But I mean, there's over under goals.
I'll give you a good one. Saka to score any time. Both.
I don't think he plays.
I do. Saka to score any time. Both teams to score and Arsenal to win 3-1.
So you're pretty sure all three of those are going to come in.
It's good. Stick a quid on it, mate.
But when I gamble, I don't gamble a quid. I'm looking for one bet that we're all positive that's going to come in, and I'm not going to bet on Saka to score when I frankly don't think he's going to play in the game at all, even in the 18. Anybody else have a first goal scorer, anytime goal scorer?
That's on us doing fuck all from a set piece.
Yeah, I don't know that it gets that specific about the set piece situation, but
you're never supposed to bet on your own team.
Yep. I'm staying silent on this.
I historically, before I started watching with people, and this is kind of this goes against what I say about Fantasy Premier League. And I have a very strong feeling about Fantasy Premier League. I used to bet against Arsenal as an emotional hedge. I would bet on whatever. This is like in 09, 10, 11, when we won most games, but we would still lose games every once in a while. I used to bet against – I would do the money line of the opponent to win so that I would at least have some sort of consolation if we lost. And then when I started hearing people talking, at the pub, when I started going to the pub and watching games with people, I started hearing people talk about, the game would be over, the pub would start thinning out, the people that are left there, we'd watch the next game, Liverpool would play, Salah scores a hat trick, and they're like, well, my saving grace today is that I captained Salah on my team today. And I got it. I mean, I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I would just punch dudes in the face.
I've got a better segment that we can do, Mike. And if you want to pull up the Premier League fixtures and throw them up, so an idea that we can do between
I'm going to throw something up. It's not going to be that though.
An idea that we can do between the four hosts of the podcast, which is obviously myself, Mike, Andy, and Mike Hertz, is that every week we'll put on an accumulator, or I think it's a parlay in America, in it, a five team accumulator, and if it comes in, we'll donate the money to a charity. How about that?
You know what? That's a good idea, and I'm placing you in charge of it. I'll do the bet, but you do the logistics. This is how we roll on this podcast. Both teams to score, by the way, minus 142. So
they're American odds. I don't. What is it?
Yeah, minus 142 means you're gonna bet $100 and get
you're gonna bet 100 and you're gonna get 42. You got to bet 100 to win 42 or something like that.
Which I can't stand. I don't like betting.
If I'm not winning at least double my money, I'm not betting.
Exactly. Yeah. Or minus 110, which is the normal, includes the VIG. So what do we got in the chat? Any bets here? We have red cards. I don't think I can do that. We got Willian hat trick. Anytime goal scorer, the odds on Willian scoring a goal in this game plus 350. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I would never put my money on that.
It sounds to me like you're going to put your money on that.
Right. Dude, I've already wasted $120 on Willian scoring a goal, and I didn't have any money, or on him getting an assist. I'm not putting any money on 3.5 to 1 odds.
What odds is Gabriel?
Gabriel is you see that? He's plus 800, which is 8 to 1. I like the center backs because you get a goal off a corner kick, and you don't have to work that hard for it. So
David Luiz?
David Luiz, and again, this isn't the first goal. Gabriel for the first goal is probably 25-1, but David Luiz anytime goal is 13-1. So I'll have a look at them, but I want to do I hate betting on my own team, but I want to kind of build it into the podcast kind of situation. So if you have anything that you want to add to that, any bets that you see, let me know. Tanner, I know you got to run, and we're going to wrap up pretty soon here, but congratulations on your new boom mic stand. I know you've been working very hard on it.
Yes, thank you.
It looks great.
It's
Your Yeti is as blue as ever.
Yeah.
And your head is as bald and your beard as beautiful as ever. So thank you for joining us today. We'll hopefully see you over the weekend. We've been collaborating a lot, and before you leave, you have like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. Big announcement. I tweeted about it earlier today, and it's not that big of an announcement, but because I've had a couple glasses of wine, I'm treating it like it's a big announcement. We're going to start something that is not revolutionary. It's not a brand new idea, but it's something new that we're going to do on a regular basis. And that is we're going to do a post-game open mic show. If it sounds familiar, it's because somebody started doing that on YouTube about 8 years ago. But the point is we're just going to have, we see the same names in here. And I say that in a good way. We see a lot of the same names, a lot of new names in here every week. And after the game, win, lose, or draw, I promise, about an hour after the game, we're going to have a post-game show. It's going to be very little rules, very little format, and we're going to put the link to join us on cam, join us in the studio, in the chat. We've done it a couple times. We had my buddy Rob came on, Drago, the Bulgarian Gooner, came on, Who Gooner came on. Fantastic takes from them, and we're, depending on how many people want to come on, we'll rotate people in and out, but it's an open mic night, a chance to kind of give your thoughts, but under our rules, where we're not looking for controversial takes. We're not looking for, people to make names for themselves. We just want to chat with your ass.
And a solid internet connection.
Yeah,
well.
solid internet connection, webcam. A couple things that'll get you booted if you don't have it, because we are running a show, but
Talk mount. Boom.
Yeah, you have to have a $400 mic and a $5 shirt, and you have to have those things. But come have some fun. Worst comes to worst, we'll put some names with some faces from the podcast chat community, and I would love to be able to do that. So the first one will be this Sunday at 6 p.m., which is an hour after the game, or about an hour, a little more after the game's supposed to end, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And there'll be a couple of us in here. You'll see Tanner in there, pretty frequently. It's not a podcast if I don't burp.
Or spit your wine out all over you.
Or spit my wine out. If I spit this wine out, then I do have to get a new computer. That was sparkling. So so yeah, but. And yes, Sebi, I will have enough time. I always make time to eat a sandwich. If you're live streaming 15 hours a day and you can't make time to have a sandwich to the point where it gets COVID, then that amount of grafting is too much. I would highly recommend. And if the person who didn't have the sandwich really could use a sandwich. I've had too many sandwiches. Dude could have used a sandwich. So. In any case, that's what we're going to do. Tanner, I love you, mate. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. Talk soon.
Tell us where we go to find your stuff and what's coming up.
The Bearded Gooner on Twitter. You guys know that. Search Bearded Gooner on YouTube. Dub Bearded Gooner on Twitter. Just search Bearded Gooner on YouTube. You'll find the channel. Please, please, please subscribe. If you're watching any of the videos, drop a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't really care. I just want you to interact. So believe it or not, when I say that, I do actually kind of care what you guys think. I'm not just saying that. So
he's very emotional. He's an emotional man.
I run on emotion. I run on emotion. That's all it is. So appreciate it, guys. Jace, good to see you, man. And chat with you, brother. Owen, always a pleasure, my friend. Mike, hate your face, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hate your face, love your body.
Up the Arsenal.
Beautiful. All right. Well,
Love
we're going to wrap up in a couple minutes because we don't have a ton of questions that we can ask. Let me see which ones we can put. If you have any questions you want to do, put the Q in there and ask them. Bulgarian Gooner, Jace, do you know Drago? I would imagine he's so prolific in the podcast chatosphere. You must know.
I'm pretty sure I've seen Drago in ABW before. So
I would imagine. In fact, I would imagine that's between you and ABW and Tom Canton. I would imagine that's how he and most people actually found out about our dumbasses. But he's got a request, and people who do not watch this on YouTube and listen to it on iTunes, and there are many of them because that's how we started. With all the references and the laughter over things that are put up on the screen, I don't know how you would want to listen to it on iTunes instead of YouTube. I'm not recommending you just quit us altogether, but you're in the bathroom for an hour a day. Just watch us on YouTube because you're missing half the fun. Anyway, for Jason from Bulgarian Gooner, can you say butter again for my pleasure?
Oh, I'll say bread and butter.
Butter. Now, how do you say it, Owen?
Oh no, this is
because Irish butter is a thing.
See, we replace our T's with D's, so we're like butter.
You don't say butter?
No, butter.
Yeah, I'm butter.
Butter.
You
even sound like a heart attack.
We're screwed. We're screwed with our accents, aren't we?
We are. Just fucking never mind.
Any other questions from anybody? I'm getting a lot of David Luiz. I just looked at these odds again for anytime goal. The top 5 for Arsenal are Lacazette, Aubameyang. Eddie Nketiah has the 3rd best odds, along with Gabriel Martinelli, and then Nicola Pepe at plus 240. I don't understand. Like there's got to be something I could take advantage of here because these people clearly don't watch Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah plus is that like
your betting options are so limited because like here you can do like let's say for example Lacazette to score any time, both teams to score and six match booking points or something.
I could do an accumulator with those things. I just can't. What isn't here that you could do it like a choral or whatever is you can't like bet on Xhaka doing a snot rocket in the 45th minute. I mean like they're limited, but the normal things are still there. It's just I'm looking at these like who would put money on Eddie Nketiah to be 2-1 to score, and if he doesn't play in the game, you lose your fucking money. Willian 3.5 to 1, Odegaard 3-1. Meanwhile, the center backs Gabriel's 9 to 1, Luiz 13 to 1, Holding 17 to 1. Yeah, Tierney 20 to 1. He's got the lowest odds to score in this game. So. Anyway, I'll probably do one of those.
There's a couple of questions in here, but before we go to them, if you can elaborate, Raymond, is that alcoholic beverage or just beverages in general? But the first one is
the same, isn't it?
No, because it depends really. Because I like a cup of tea, but if you're talking
Ribena, Lucozade. My favorite non-alcoholic drink is Lucozade. My favorite alcoholic drink is Lucozade with vodka.
That's a fucking Jesus Christ, man. But Zamir puts in preferred lineups and predictions. Jace.
Oh,
that's what a normal pod would talk about, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But don't worry, there's some silly questions further down.
I'll tell you what, okay? Leno in goal, Bellerin at right back, Luis and Gabriel, Tierney at left back, Xhaka and Partey, he needs the minutes. Odegaard at 10. I'd play Laka at top. I'd play Aubameyang on the left. On the right, I'd play Pepe.
You're playing Pepe in front of Bellerin. Jace, you know that doesn't work.
No. I know it hasn't worked as well as it could have so far. I think you've got to go with it. I mean,
if you're going to play Bellerin, which is a leap in and of itself, I don't see how you play Pepe in front of him.
I'll be honest. I think Bellerin's got a load of bullshit said about him this season. I think he has had a couple of bad performances. I've also seen them Cedric have some shite performances as well. Okay, I'll be honest with you guys. Okay, if you're singling out Bellerin this season after the dog shit we've put out as a team, I think there's something wrong. Okay,
Wait, one more time. Let me get closer to the screen. I want to. I didn't process that.
If we're singling out Bellerin this season after the dog shit we've put out as a team, okay, there's something fucking wrong in the world. There's enough blame to go round. And it ends with the manager more than anybody. Okay, but let's move on from that. I think Bellerin gets an awful hard time. I think Pepe needs to work harder. I think Hector needs to work harder. I also think we put an awful lot on the left-hand side. We don't utilise the right side enough. And unless you're going to put the ball down there, then they're never going to form that relationship. So,
prediction and score, Jace.
Arsenal 3, West Ham 1.
Ooh. He likes mine. I'll rattle through mine quick because mine's slightly different. I go Leno and Nets, left back Tierney, Gabriel, Luis centre back, Cedric right back, Partey Xhaka in the middle, Ødegaard in the 10, ASR on the left. I just realised that Saka is carrying an injury and it's coming up in England, so I think you might give him the rest. You're probably right. So I'll go Pepe on the right as well and Lacazette up top. And I'm the same scoreline as Jace.
I have the exact same lineup except for the center backs. I'm going Mari Holding. They've played well together. They're not second team. They're 1 and 1A as far as I'm concerned. Gabriel and Luis get one thing accomplished. Mari and Holding get another thing accomplished. I am a little worried about Holding's lack of man marking people when it really, really matters. And but Holding's seemingly fallen out of favor lately, and I wouldn't mind seeing him get a spot. That said, if it's Mari and Luis, I'm not going to cry. But absolutely Cedric on the right, Tierney on the left, Xhaka Partey in the middle, Ødegaard in the 10, ESR on the left, because that makes sense, unlike what we saw on Thursday. Pepe on the right. And as I discovered last night, I don't know that Pepe playing next to Aubameyang in the 9 works that great. Because they both need service, they both need
someone to play off.
They both need to be played into the goal, and they're not. I mean, Aubameyang's never going to lay off the ball to a Pepe running in behind him to give him an opening, whereas Lacazette will do exactly that. So I go with the exact same lineup that you had, Owen, except Mari and Holding in the middle, and I won't be disappointed if whatever the 2 center backs are out of those 4 right now, I feel comfortable with. But it's got to be Cedric. I don't want to see Bellerin in that game. Score, unfortunately, I think it's going to be 2-2.
Well, I suppose not. Yeah, well, it could be the end of the world. Raymond says alcoholic beverages, so I'll start with that before we move on to Tony's question here. If you have time, Jace.
Yeah, Jace, how are you on time? I know it's. I don't care about you're on the same time zone as Owen. I don't care about Owen. I care about you. So
I'm all good, lads. I'm all good. It's good to talk to you, boys. It's been too long.
Telling you, buddy. But more importantly, alcoholic beverages. I'll start with this one. My favorite alcoholic beverage. I'm a beer man. I'm weird. I don't really like drinking anything other than beer. But I like my German beers, the likes of Kronbacher and Erdinger. I like them. Strong, cloudy German beers.
So we can't do like you have to just pick one. It can't be like your favorite beer, your favorite wine, your favorite liquor. I mean, we're just one that you like.
Favorite? What's your go-to alcoholic beverage?
Okay, Jace, you're a drinker. I don't know. I mean,
I never drink in the house. I'm a binge drinker. So I'm a lager out, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, I would love. I mean, one of these days, mate, you're coming and you're meeting us, and we're going to a goddamn pub, and we're going to see things that we've never seen before.
I got to be honest with you, I'm an absolute cliche when it comes to it. I do like Lowenbrau. I love Lowenbrau.
Lowenbrau.
Yeah, I do like the Czech lagers. Okay.
Pilsner.
If it's a short, I like a rum. I do like a dark rum. But let's be honest, boys, okay? When you're out, okay? I love cider, I love lager, I love beer.
You say Wenger out?
When you're out.
I thought you said, let's be honest, boys, Wenger out. And I'm like, that's like so 3 years ago. Like,
it's so early 2000s, isn't it?
I'm like, that was completely out of nowhere. I was so confused.
So early 2000s. No, I'll drink anything. I do love a cider. I love a good bitter now and again. But yeah, as long as it's not whiskey, I can't drink whiskey. I can't drink it. I end up fighting or puking.
Ray and I are very, very similar. We both don't drink alcoholic beverages. So, yeah.
Question from Tony.
Oh, I don't get to. I would love to not answer because the answer is probably everything. But yeah.
No, you have to answer.
I've been really off beer lately. Like during the entire lockdown, like for the last year, I've been just off beer. Beer's for pubs. I don't tend to have it at home. At home, I'll have wine, and generally speaking, it's usually like champagne or sparkling wine of some sort. But the red will be Cabernet. I do not like liquor, despite the way I started this podcast. I don't like it at all. So I guess I'll, they don't call me Merlot Mike for no reason. Even though I drink Cabernet, not Merlot, but my mates in the American chat room call me Merlot Mike because of the stupid shit that I tweet and post and put in the chat on nights such as this one. So,
question from Tony. He says,
I got football now.
Says if we face Man United in the Europa League final and United win and finish in the top 4, who gets the automatic Champions League spot?
Well, didn't that happen?
So if United finish in the top 4 and they win the Europa League, who gets that Champions League spot?
5th place, right?
I think it is.
Didn't that happen? Oh no, didn't that happen with Chelsea when they beat us in the Europa League final?
Yeah,
maybe someone in the chat can elaborate.
It didn't go to us. No, what happened was, doesn't that knock somebody else? Oh God! See, I would normally know the answer to this, except wine.
Bulgarians.
I don't think 5th gets it. I don't think the runners-up get it in the Europa League either. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but
when Chelsea beat us in the Europa League, they finished top 4.
Yeah, and we finished 5th.
And they beat us, and we finished 5th, and that didn't get us in.
Yeah,
but we were still thinking we might still get in because we were thinking Manchester City might actually be suspended for financial fair play, which was a joke.
If we play Man United in the final Europa League and we lose to them, I'm gonna be too busy crying like a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, here's a
we'll have a bitch cast after that game where all of our pictures are sideways because we'll all be in the fetal position.
Nothing funny. We did the after show game after the Chelsea final for ABW, okay? And I was spewing. I was absolutely spewing.
I can't do that. I don't want to. This is the thing about the live, the thing that I announced where we're going to do the the open mic show. I generally am. As much as I criticize him for this, I'm Aubameyang when it comes to podcasting. I don't want to podcast when we lose. I want to do nothing but podcast when we win. And if we're going to do these post-game shows, I'm going to have to buck up and podcast when we lose sometimes.
I love a good rant. I love a good rant. I love it.
Honestly, it's one of those things. It's like the Chelsea final. Doing the show after the Chelsea final was so good, okay? Everybody's happy. Everybody's buzzing. Everybody's up for it. Everybody's just enjoying.
Best.
Oh, it's utterly, honestly, it's brilliant. And then it's middle of winter. It's freezing.
I'll tell you what it doesn't do is it doesn't sell views and clicks. And it doesn't get other teams. It doesn't get Chelsea people coming on to see how miserable we are. But that ain't what we're after. So I couldn't love that more, man. And that's why our post game show, both on scale and format, is not going to be. It'll be TGP TV, and it should be a much happier place. If we lose, we're all going to try to convince ourselves on how to feel better about it, and ultimately just make ourselves laugh. If we win, we can talk about how fucking incredible we are.
Yeah, but Mike, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. The actual greatest thing about doing this Okay, and the reason I love talking to you guys, you look at that chat box, Stan the Man's in there, Ray's in there,
Well, I didn't invite Stan to come in.
You got Bulgarian Gooper, you got Sam in at the moment, Tony. Everybody's having a laugh. You meet some absolutely brilliant people.
We're at the pub right now. We're at the pub with these guys, and on in an hour after the final whistle goes, we'll be at the pub with everybody with a little bit more facial recognition and stuff. So look, I can't wait for it, and I just hope that we don't lose too often because I am in a shit mood when we lose. I'm not mad. I just don't want to talk about it. So like talking about it is going to be it's going to put me out of my comfort zone. So, what was our next question?
Yeah, we'll do one last question, Jason. It's from Arsenal fan circle. Who do you feel that Arteta's first choice right back is?
I think at the moment it's still Hector, okay? But it can change. It can change. Cedric's no mug. He's not a long-term solution, but he'll do a job for you. I still think it's Hector. I expect Hector to start on Saturday. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and it's fine. I think there's
Is the answer to the question who should be his first choice right back different, or is it the same?
For me, I still think it's Hector. Okay. I haven't looked at.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't get the aftermatch stuff, and I haven't watched the games as intently as I used to. But I see Hector get a lot of stick a lot of the time, and he hasn't done an awful lot wrong. Okay. I see the biggest problem at the Arsenal at the moment: poor movement, not moving the ball quickly enough, and not finishing the chances. Cedric did well against Spurs. I can't knock him. I can't knock a guy. I'm not going to knock him. But for me, it's still Hector.
All right.
Do you think that maybe there was sort of rumors of talks between Arteta and Bellerin about his future and the possibility of him leaving the club at the end of the season? Do you think with the introduction of Callum Chambers against Burnley and with Cedric sort of starting the more high profile games of late, do you think that maybe that sort of shows the results of those conversations, that he's more likely to be moved on at the end of the season?
It's interesting, to be fair, mate. It's interesting. I think it's a good point. Look, if you want to generate cash, okay, Hector's somebody who will generate cash for you. But I also think if you want to generate,
not if we wait 2 years, though. I mean, this is the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, okay. If you want to generate cash, clear it up. I love Callum Chambers. I think he's a very underrated centre back. Okay, and so before he got injured, he was the best centre back we had. But he's another player who'll generate cash for you. Maitland-Niles, Nelson, okay, Reece Nelson. But I kind of think as well, these are players who've actually got potential for us. In all fairness to Mikel Arteta, he's the manager. He's got to make these decisions. If it's his choice to move on, if it's his choice to move Hector on, then fair enough. He's going to do it. But ultimately, I'm not sure he will move Hector on unless he has somebody coming through who's younger with real potential. I don't think we've got that at the moment. But it's hard to argue your point, mate. It's hard to argue it.
It's I think, as Mike says, it's more that, and look, we're talking about what Mikel Arteta wants and what makes sense for the team and the squad and the financials of bringing. So something we failed to mention as well is what the players feeling. Hector Bellerin is somebody that has taken a mountain of abuse off the fan base. Rightfully or wrongfully, that's a completely different discussion. But I don't know, maybe Hector Bellerin feels it's time's up. We'll see the the things that he's doing off the pitch, and maybe he feels that a move somewhere else could only benefit him in both avenues of his life. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Here's a question for you two then. Okay, so if you want to generate cash to bring, if you want to change the culture of this team, okay, I think one of your biggest assets is going to be Aubameyang.
Do you though? At his age, I mean, like this has been the prospect of selling him almost seems as impossible as it did, selling Ozil at one point. But
here's one for you that I threw up, and
there was the question being asked though. So
but goals count. The goals count. Okay, goals count. Would you sell Aubameyang?
And this is what my point was going to be, and this was thrown over to you because this was a real possibility. Before he signed the contract, it was rumored that Real Madrid were on the scope to get Aubameyang, that they were pursuing him. Would you explore the avenue of a swap deal for Martin Odegaard for Aubameyang?
Oh, that's a weird one.
Oh.
They have a history of wanting him.
It's strange because we have both now, but we don't really.
Yeah, so, I'm gonna be honest with you, because if you were asking me that in the summer, that's all I was looking at as a hat full of goals.
You know what?
I don't want to give up, but now, I truly believe Martinelli could be an absolute worldly centre forward. Okay,
I would do it.
Yeah, I would.
I would do it because essentially you're saying you're getting 40 million and the wages off the books for Aubameyang. Because Odegaard's not going to be less than 40, and Odegaard should be on lower wages than Aubameyang is. So yeah, I would absolutely do that now that I think about it. I mean, it's hard to envision saying, okay, well, we're going to go from having both of them to only having one of them. And that's that, but it
would probably realistically, because you're talking about the wages and the age profile of both players, that you're probably look. This is a completely unlikely scenario, but if it was to come to any sort of fruition, which is unlikely, but you would be talking about Aubameyang plus 10 million, Aubameyang plus 15 million, something like that.
And if it's that, Odegaard plays here for 4 or 5 years and does an okay job. Or God forbid he does a great job, he'll then be a 27-year-old who, if Real Madrid wants to buy back, or Munich's interested, or City's interested, I mean, I would hope that's not the case. But you're not going to get less than 40 for him. You're going to get more than 40 for him. You're going to have him for 5 years. That's what we need to do. We haven't been doing that.
If you look at the longevity of, imagine, I said this earlier, but the longevity of a front four of Martin Odegaard in the 10, Emile Smith Rowe on the left, Bukayo Saka on the right, and Gabriel Martinelli up top. It's
like George Graham's back four, but with an attacking. I mean, we don't need to worry about that if that's our front four for the next 6 years. I mean, I know contracts will get in the way, injuries will happen, but it'd be so nice to just only need to really focus on depth and pour the big money into our midfield where it needs to go.
I don't think though Odegaard Odegaard's had some decent loans, but he hasn't set the world alight. Do you know what I mean? And with Real, it all depends who's going to be the manager. What Perez wants, Perez gets, etc. I don't think we'd have to part with money because the goals Aubameyang gives you, and he'd tear it up in Spain. It's a walking league. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're going to get another 3-4 years out of him. Santi Cazorla played, in Spain on one leg, to be fair to him. And so I think it's a fascinating option, isn't it? It would be, you're looking at.
It's probably appealing for all parties involved, really, isn't it?
I got to be honest with you. It's one that makes a lot of sense. And it'd be a massive thing for Aubameyang. He's always wanted to play at Real.
As much as I love Aubameyang, and I think that he's not finished, I'd sell him if the right offer came in. Mostly because it helps us get younger, and it helps us more than likely save money on wages. Odegaard, as good as he is, isn't going to be 250 to 300 grand a week. He might be 150 to 200 grand a week.
He won't get anywhere near that. He's not going to get near that.
But I mean, it'll improve our books, and I don't think it would really take that much away if we have the replacements in hand, or if Edouard's as inexpensive as he's supposed to be. I mean, there's a lot of different things we could do. Maybe Balogun sees a way through at that point. So in any case, we're going to wrap up. We're almost at hour 45. This is getting into like ABW territory as far as length of pods are concerned. But Jace, man, it's we got to just do a whole show on people that you hate, because our first or second podcast with you, when we weren't even doing video yet, you know, we were thrilled to have you on. I mean, not that we aren't now, but like, you know, it was like, wow, we're getting the guys from ABW on, and the whole second half of the podcast was you talking about how many people you hated, and it was gold. So, you know, if you go, you can search our archives, the Gooners podcast, Know What I Hate Davies or something like that, and you can listen to it. But we got to do a new show because it's been a few more years. I'm sure Jermaine Genus will be added to that list now, and a few others.
Jermaine Genus, to be fair, I think he's a clown. I kind of like him. You know what I mean?
You feel bad for him at this point.
I do. Tell you what I do fucking hate, okay? It's Glenn fucking Hoddle. He's a wank stain. He's a fucking tall rag of a bloke, and he, you know, if ever somebody needed to fall down a hole, okay, it's Glenn fucking Hoddle.
It isn't even that it's that he hates a lot of people. It's that the things he says he wants to happen to these people is friggin' amazing. So we are literally going to do a show just about that. So stay tuned for that. Jace, it's been wonderful. Thank you for staying up almost to midnight for us. We love you. Owen, thank you for staying up until almost midnight for us. We feel nicely about you.
You're such a cunt.
And hey, it's a derby win and a progression in Europe. What more could you ask for other than both games being 8-0?
Can I make 1 point from goal? Let's
Absolutely.
smash those racist bastards at Slavia Praha. Let's smash those fuckers back into the 1980s and fucking stamp on that fucking fucker's face. Twat! You see what that fucker did?
Yeah, let's stand up for Glenn Camera, former Arsenal product, and before we go, our sign off will be just a brief view of what we think of Tottenham.
What do you think of Tottenham?